Hello everybody, I'm Brian, and I'm going to take a look at this game today. It's called Full Bore. It was made by a company called Whole Hog Games. It was first released May 6, 2014, and it's available on Steam if you're interested. Small amount of disclosure, I'm both a Kickstarter backer and related to the lead developer, or one of the lead developers for this game, so take that under advisement when considering my opinions about it. It is a puzzle platformer game with an open world and some adventure and story elements to it. I had a lot of fun playing it. Let me show you the intro. It's pretty interesting, I think. And you get to hear some of the awesome music in the game. So to start, we have to choose our character. There's Hildy. She's a boar. And we have Frederick. He's a boar too. I'm going to choose Hildy today, although both characters are exactly the same. Whichever character you don't choose plays your rival during the story. It's a very friendly rivalry, but you do get to race each other at one point, which is cool. Yay! Butterflies and fields of flowers. Mines. Not yay. Nope. Done for. Catapulted underground. I really like this falling sequence. Shows off a lot of the cool lighting effects in this sort of retro style. The lights, I think, really set it apart from other, like, purposely old-looking games. Other than the lighting system, it reminds me a lot of some very late Super Nintendo games. You know, here you get to see the contrast between the types of lights. There's some torches, which have the, like, flickery, pulsing feel. And then these like fluorescent lights turn on, and you get the real mechanical sort of sterilized feel from a blue or an LED light. It's pretty cool. Put a lot of time into that, I bet. Anyway, let's proceed to the intro area. This is basically them teaching you. This is one of the few parts in the game where the game actually puts these little like pointers up to tell you how to control. And then once you're out of these first couple areas, that's it for hand-holding. This is, I think, probably the coolest mechanic in the game, is this little rewind mechanic we have here. So you can just hold the button down, and then you can step backwards through things you've made to, like, maybe correct an error that you made and solve your puzzles. In this case, I need to warp all the way back to my most recent save thing. And then I can come here and it gives me the new heading that tells me that I can stop to remove all of this stuff over here. Anyway, I'll just work through the intro here. So, the music is pretty great in this game. You can hear a little bit here now. I believe the people who did the music are called Adjective Plural Noun, and that they're a band from California. I don't know much about them other than that. And then here's like your main goal is those gems. You gotta collect the gems because every boar wants gems. I don't know. I feel like this game paints boars in a very dwarven aspect in that they seem to want wealth and to collect it by delving into the earth. But we're going to get to the main part, or the main introduction to the story, I should say, here when I get in this little rocket over here. We also see some great animation of my eyes bugging out. Coming right up. There it is. So we end up in a vault, which, by the way, I'd like to point out has already been emptied, but we get blamed for it. Let me head upstairs. So here we're introduced to Gulen Bursty. He's very angry that we have stolen all of his gems, even though we didn't. But he's basically going to enslave us in his company and force us to work for him until we get all of the gems back. Because we don't have any of them. Anyway, we're gonna head on out of his office now. We get to see some sweet mole accountants. I really like these guys. They It's funny. I wonder how well they can read those typewriters. And then we're going to be introduced to the four-bore Dean. Think of it as foreman, but they like to call him a four-bore because bore puns. Pretty quickly here, he's going to eject me into the mines to get to work. And here we have our first level. This is an important command heading right here that's easy to miss if you're in a hurry, and that's that you can move the camera around. I'm using an Xbox 360 controller, but a keyboard works just as well. So, and then all this sand falls on me. So I'll just proceed through these puzzles here pretty quickly. Just stomp that, make the stuff go away, dig through this box. And then, so when I say this game has an open world and you can get lost in it occasionally, here's an example. Like, if for some reason you ended up going up here, you shouldn't know how to do the trick I just did, but it's entirely possible that you could. You'll very quickly end up in this level, which introduces a whole lot of concepts that you've never seen before at this point in the game. And if you feel like you need to solve it, you can be stuck here for quite a while and get very frustrated in the process. So I'm just going to go ahead and move on from there for now. This is, you know, like your average basic block puzzles here. The stone ones fall, and then we can get up here to the gem. And then some more gem puzzle, or some more stone puzzles. That was probably pretty gross. Sorry, I'm a little sick. Alright. And then here's how most of the story elements are, or lore elements are introduced to you. Is through little computer terminals you find throughout the levels, which relate mostly to the history of the world. Now the story, I think, ends up being pretty great, but it's sort of slow to develop, and it doesn't have a lot of elements that directly hook you at the beginning, which if you're not willing to put some time into a game, you may miss that about this game, that its story. So some more fairly easy puzzles. I'm going to just try to jet on through the rest of this level without grabbing any more gems. Get out here, show you the map. Here we have Ham. He's going to give me my mapper. There it is. And here's what the map looks like. I really like the sort of like lined graph paper background. And basically it just gives you like a little pixelated view of every room, or every room that you've been to rather, and draws little connections between them and tells you what you still have to find in that room. Not specific amounts, but what is available there. And then rooms like Golden Bursty's office here that have turned gold, that means that there's nothing left to find there. So, moving right along, we go down here, and we can hop into the second area. Again, so we can't push this. What we need to do is stomp. And then we can just use this little bridge thing here to make a bridge. And that's pretty handy. You can also knock these down, which isn't obvious at first. So, come right across here. These little bridge things, they hold on as long as there's something to the right and left of them, and you can knock them down, but they only go down one space if there's something to the right and left of them again. So for instance, that one's stuck up there, but we can get it down by removing the dirt from the right side, and then it'll fall naturally. Alright, let me see if I can't jet on through the rest of this area, get to some other more interesting things. Oh, this shows you that you can dig through. When you dig through the same material a bunch of times in a row, you get faster at it temporarily. So that's pretty cool. And then here we have a very direct way of introducing you to lasers and batteries, which lasers can cut through things that would be blocks that you would not be able to dig through normally. So. And then they stop if they hit something from the same tile set, which is that like brownish block you can see over here. And let me get get to that exit. And here we're in the area expedient elevator. We're talking to Makoran. We'll just clear this stuff out of the way with some stomps. Yep. So, now you are first released into the wild blue yonder, or the dirty deep, and you can go anywhere, which leads to one of the problems that will crop up for some players when you play this game, is that it is very easy to accidentally end up in a room or puzzle section that you will have absolutely no idea how to solve because you haven't experienced anything even remotely like it before. Yeah, like just to give you an idea, I'm gonna go ahead and load a different save here, show you some more exciting areas of the game. Here's a puzzle that I can solve for you. I like this one. Alright, this is in an area called the Scrapyard, and I want to say the theme of the Scrapyard is that it's old and used, and that a lot of the things in it are one-time use. So those platforms right there disintegrated, and there's no way to get them back. So shit, how do we solve this? Well, start by resetting. And then let me break it down what we're going for here. So there's these gems up here. That one in the dirt we're not going to have any problems with. But that top one is in steel. And my boar can't dig through steel. So what we need to do is we need to get this battery right here and that laser together forever in the middle and zap that. But we can't even get to these pieces because these blue blocks are in the way, so we got to go up there and hit those blue blocks to make these ones go away. So I'll start showing you how to do that. We got to make a bridge. Oops, messed that one up. I'm going to just step down onto it and then fill the hole with this block. Nope. And come this way so that we don't step on those disintegrating platforms until we get over here. So yeah, I mean, this, like, you know, when you first look at it, it appears like the general concept of the puzzle is very simple. You know, put the laser and the battery together to shoot the steel. But like, getting to each of the elements individually and quickly, or, you know, just getting to them and then uniting them can be very difficult and time consuming. So we're going to come up here. Luckily it gives us this little save about halfway through, and we can dig this blue block out. And then it seems like we should just go down there and start pushing them to the sides, but you'll find if you do that you end up in trouble, because really we need to get these blocks all the way down to the bottom. And the way to do that is push them over here now that we've removed the girder on that side. And then smack the hell out of them with our face, because what else would a boar do? Yeah, there we go. Now we've successfully built half of our platform. So now that those blue blocks are gone, we can get the laser out. Let me just put that in place while we're over here. Spend a little less time running around. Basically, you can see what we're going to do here is we're going to smash these ones down and build the rest of the bridge, and then do the same thing to the battery that we just did to the laser. And that's an example of a puzzle from later on in the game. I mean, hopefully I made it look simple, but figuring that out took me quite a while. I like that it just keeps going and drills up through the ceiling. Even escaping this area up here is a little bit of a puzzle, because you can't get out like this. You gotta come over here and then push it out of the way. So another little area right here I show you some cute puzzles in. We get the bridges, and then we get the disintegrating blocks together, and we get temporary bridges. And that's an example of the one control problem I have with the game, is that sometimes you'll be pushing a block to the left or right and you'll accidentally step on it, and especially in an area like this where things disintegrate. Now I can't solve this puzzle, but luckily we can rewind and I can take it a little slower this time and not do that. Yeah, the rewind mechanic is a real lifesaver. And then we have access to this puzzle, which takes quite a bit of time to solve. But another small issue that you'll notice in this area, I think, is that sometimes the automatic scrolling for the screen doesn't scroll when you want it to. I mean, it did it right that time, but occasionally you'll get to the edge of the screen and you'll be all the way on the edge of the screen before it scrolls. I don't know about you, but that's pretty frustrating when I can't see where I'm going over there like that. That's like the worst possible case right there. Yeah, I could do this puzzle. So this is an older save where this puzzle has not yet been solved, but I know the solution. Nope, it is not to dig upwards into that block. Right. So this is another puzzle I struggled with for quite a while. I mean, not all puzzles are like pushing blocks and stuff like that. There are some more like timing based or active puzzles, and I'll show you one of those here real quick. Back to the title screen. Load up the save in the dumpster. This takes place in an area that's kind of like nightmare or dream sequence, so there's some pretty unique puzzles here. You got this pigeon, and apparently he spent his entire life constructing this gauntlet just so someone like me could come along and beat it. And I'm going to try and do it for you. Now, hopefully I'm going to make these puzzles look easy too, but let me tell you, figuring out the correct way and the correct timing was not a walk in the park. So the reason I was in such a hurry down there is so I can get up here before that block fell, because if it fell and then I pushed it to the right over here, I would have no way to get up. And that would be a full reset. So we're going to make a little bridge. Come over here. Now this is where some like really tight timing comes into play. So if we do that, and we drop this block, then we have to stomp before those blocks fall to make them fall together. And we have to do the same thing over here, again on a time limit, and a third time. Now, there's nothing in the game that teaches you that that's what you have to do. Like, I just had to figure that out by trial and error. And we have to run across these blocks before they explode and fall out from under me. And if that should happen, then you can see I can teleport backwards to a couple places. But if you teleport back to a place like that and you even dawdle for a second, you're going to get sunk and you're going to have to go way back here. And you can see I did the same thing again, so I got stuck again. I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing, but it can get frustrating on these timing puzzles if you're not ready for it. Oh, I did it again, I'm sorry. And we're going to just experience that twice in a row. Alright, I will do better this time. I'm holding my cheater key that makes it so I always go straight up. And that's how you solve this puzzle. I mean, there used to be an item here, like a relic they call it, like an example of a relic. Not all of them have effects like this, but this is one that I got from beating my rival in a race. I got these, I think they're called the pig irons. Yeah, and I can equip them, and when I do, I shoot out sparks. Sparks are pretty great. Again, a sweet lighting effect that you get to see in this game. Thankfully there's no, like, solution to get out of here. So, you can just run back, and I will take you to the little teleporter area and show you another area real quick before I get to my final thoughts on this game. I like the little boar hologram, it's pretty cute. Alright, all the way down. Got this little I like to call that the devil boar licks the stone. Here we have our little teleport hub. So it's a pretty big game, and there's you know only 4 or 5. There's like 5 over here, and then 6 in the middle, and then like 3 or 4 more over here. 4. So here's another area called Boo Devi, and it's got sort of like a temple feel, which is pretty cool. And like, I don't want to get into too many of the puzzles, but you know what? I'll take you to the other side of Boo Devi. Puzzles are a little smaller and less screen spanning there. Ooh, yeah, that's a very interesting character called Varaha. It's a boar with 6 legs. Here we go. Drops. So this was a cute puzzle. I can solve it for you real fast, I hope. Oh, actually, the puzzle has been partially solved. You used to have to climb up to that top spot to get out, but the game has simplified it. That's an example of a good thing that they've done here to make the game a lot easier to navigate once you've already solved a puzzle. This is an example of a song that I really love in the game. I'll just hang out here a little bit so you can get a feel for it. Push some blocks around. I guess I can get into my final thoughts while we listen to this song. For me, this game's biggest strengths are its like graphically impressive stylings. It's like the engine and the lighting system, while looking old and retro, still manages to show off some like sweet modern tech and feel really great. And it's got a cartoony feel. And the next thing is, again, the music. As I mentioned, how can you not love a song like this one right here? It's pretty great. It doesn't detract or distract you from like completing the puzzles, but it's like upbeat enough and in the background, which I think is just perfect for a puzzle game and solving puzzles. I believe it's done by a California band called The Adjective Plural Noun, and I think it's described as like sort of bluesy with synths. I'm not sure. Next up is puzzles. If you love puzzles, this is a great game for you, because some of the puzzles are very difficult and they're so rewarding to solve when you finally figure it out. You may run through it 5, 15 times, but when you get it, you know you've got it, and it feels great. And most of the puzzles, it's not necessarily a fixed or locked solution. There are a couple different ways to solve almost all the puzzles. Alright. The story is pretty great. It was very interesting by the end of the game. Unfortunately, it takes a little while to hook you in, and it's kind of slow at the beginning, so you may start playing the game and feel like there's almost no story in the game, or that there's not enough. But by the end of the game, it gets to be a lot more integral and important. I believe it has 3 different endings that you can get, and it's not like it doesn't end your gameplay, so you don't have to start again if you want to experience the rest of the game, which I always like. Some of the problems it has are like related to its strengths, which is the like real open, the like lack of hand-holding and open world is really great, because a lot of games get almost too hand-holding now. But the problem you have there, and why I say it's not only a strength, is the fact that you can really easily get lost or get into a puzzle that is beyond your depth, that you're not ready to solve, or that you just don't have the tools to solve, because there's not like a tutorial for everything. So the tutorials are like experience based. You know, you have to solve puzzles that first introduce the things in an easier manner, and that's the only way that you have of solving that, of knowing how to solve a later version of the same puzzle. So if you skip around or end up in a strange place, you'll end up in a puzzle. You will get a puzzle that is too difficult for you to solve, probably. I mean, those are kind of both related. That, the puzzle solving, and then like the open worldness kind of sometimes contributes to that, and those are my biggest problems with it. There's very few like control issues. I sort of highlighted the only one I have. As far as glitches that I experienced while playing the game, I had only one sound glitch where the game didn't crash, but the sound, or the sound engine I guess, like locked up and played the same song, like the same note of a song for about 10 seconds. Then it fixed itself. And there was one chat bug I had one time where I talked to a guy and he had just like an empty bubble for no reason that was like half off the screen. But other than that, performed mostly flawless. So, that's my thoughts on this game, and I hope you liked them. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.